So one thing I'm trying to get really good at is being on camera. So I have made a goal for myself that I am going to try to film myself more often to get used to this because I'm going to grad school. I need to get better at talking out loud to people, all those other fun things. So I figured I would make a video today. So, first of all, I hope everyone's had a great day. I have 4-year-old twins, and they were out all day with their grandparents, which gave me a lot of time for self care. I got to meditate, I got to get coffee, I got to exercise, I got to clean my house, and so by the time they were back, I was super rejuvenated. It was very sweet. One of my daughters, she brought me a heart rock. So she told my parents that she had to get a gift for me. And so when she came home, she brought me, it was a heart stone. And she told me that the reason she got it for me is because she loves me so much. It was so sweet. And she even told me while they were out that she missed me, but then she talked about how she was able to get through it, which is kind of like what segues into the conversation I wanted to talk about today, and that's about children in general. So, one thing that I did not realize prior to being a parent is how much your children are going to trigger your insecurities. Oh, they know exactly how to trigger them. They know exactly what to say that is going to piss you off. They know exactly what makes you uncomfortable. They know it all. And I remember my mom telling me that and how I used to be able to trigger her so badly. And I would always know when she was being fake. So I would like call her on it. So it's the same thing with my daughters. So I feel like the hardest part about this is that I know how to navigate it, but I have a lot of well meaning friends that will try to give you advice on how you should parent and what you should do. And having to be strong and stand your ground and say, this is the way I choose to do it, this is what feels good to me. So, since they've been born, and more so now, one thing that I've come across from myself is that I really, really struggle with feelings like anger, sadness, you know, anger, sadness. Those are the big ones. Sometimes fear. Fear can trigger me too. And I kind of was raised where if I felt these feelings, it was, let me go buy you something. Let me go do this for you. Let me go do that for you. And so I find as an adult in my adult brain that whenever I get these feelings like I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm whatever it may be, I have a tendency to want to fix that. So I want to go out, I want to buy something, I want to try to stuff those feelings down into something. And I realize that it's very unhealthy. So now that I have my daughters, there have been times that I'm trying to fix the problem or I'm not understanding why they're upset. And so I'll be like, why are you upset about that? Why are you upset? And they'll just say, I'm sad. I'm sad. And it takes so much in me to understand this. And a lot of the time they just say, I just need a hug. And so I'll give them a hug, but it's really hard for me because in that moment I feel very triggered. I have gone into like child mode. I am now thinking as a child and I'm feeling this feeling and it doesn't feel good. So I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to feel it. And I try to push it away. And I know that that's not healthy. So the other day, I went out with a friend and we went out for lunch. And then after lunch, my girls wanted to play on these rocks. And I set a timer and I said, okay, in 5 minutes, we're going to be done and we're going to go to the car. So the 5 minutes came and gone. And they said, one more time, one more time, one more time, one more time, one more time. And at first, I wasn't following up. And I said, okay, one more time. And then I took their hands and I said, no, the timer went off. It's time to go. And so one of them had a meltdown, like massive meltdown. And I just held her hand and I walked to the car. And then my friend said to me, like, nobody's watching. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure what that means, but I was kind of just in mom mode. I wasn't paying attention to it. She was attending to my other daughter. So I just picked her up and held her. And I just held her and let her cry. And it fixed the problem. But then What I find interesting is that my friend was like, "You're a lot nicer than I am. I wouldn't have done that." And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I hear you. It's really hard to feel these emotions. It's really hard because we were not raised this way. I was raised where it was, let's buy something. Let's take the feeling away. I'll just give you what you want. If I give you what you want, you'll stop feeling the feelings and then I don't have to deal with it. Which is very avoidant. It's a very avoidant emotional response. I didn't usually get why do you feel that way? Every once in a while I did, but it was mostly let me try to fix it. Let me try to correct the problem. Let me take it away, which I find myself trying to do for myself. And I find myself trying to do it for my daughters. And finally, this friend looked at me and said, "Well, there's different ways of parenting." And I said, "Absolutely. And this is how I choose to parent my children. And this is what works for us." But because I just attended to her emotions and I just held her, which is what she needed in that moment. She needed me to be the adult. She doesn't need me to scream at her. She already is so dysregulated as it is. What am I going to do if I do that? I'm going to make the problem worse. I'm going to escalate it. I'm going to make her think that she cannot come to me when she feels these big feelings. And I don't want that because here I am in this adult body and I still struggle with navigating emotions. And it's hard for me. And I really have to learn to reparent and sit with these feelings and say, I feel this way, and that's okay. It's okay to feel this way. I'm learning to soothe that inner child that did not get soothed. So now I have to go back and try to fix that. And I'm trying to do it with my daughters. And they're really good at it, actually. Like one day, one of them was upset, the one that had the meltdown. And she went outside, and I go out there, and she's like, "Mommy, I'm upset. I need to take some deep breaths. Can you go inside the house?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're 4 years old and you know what you need." I'm an adult and sometimes I don't know what I need. And I just think it's amazing. So even though they're so good at finding our insecurities, there's this beautiful part about parenting where we get to grow as parents. We get to fix the things, but it's really taking an honest look at like who you are, how you handle emotions, how you feel things, and just saying, yeah, this is unhealthy the way that I was raised. So let me turn it around to try to be better about it. Because the more that we do that, the more these generations will stop having issues with depression, anxiety. And I'm not saying it's going to go away. That's not what I'm saying at all. And some people have had amazing upbringings where they've learned to regulate their emotions really well and they still struggle with it. But wouldn't it be so much easier to be like, I learned this as a child. And so when I feel these big feelings like anger, sadness, rejection is a big one. I know how to navigate it because I have the tools to do that for myself, which is something that I just think is amazing. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Anything that you find helpful with parenting, I would love to hear. I'm really brand new to YouTube. I'm trying to get really comfortable with this, and I feel like my niche right now is more on the, aspect of self-care, parenting, talking about my struggles, talking about life in general, and just this growth period that I'm in right now. I would love to hear anything you have to say. I hope everybody has an amazing night.